Captain Jae-ho Kim rubbed his tired eyes. The clock on his office wall showed 3 a.m. Earth Standard Time. Most of the crew on the space station, Haesong, slept now, but Jae-ho still worked. Reports needed his review. As head of the Korean Space Defense Force's 3rd Fleet, paperwork never ended. The office was small but functional. A metal desk, 2 chairs, and a window looking out into the blackness of space. The only personal touch was a picture of his family back on Earth. The silence broke when his communication screen lit up with bright red letters. GNTMESSAG, Galactic Concordate. Jae-ho sat up straight. The Galactic Concordate rarely contacted humans directly. The aliens had always kept their distance from Earth. They called humans Deathworlders, beings from a planet so dangerous it should be impossible to live there. Earth's gravity was too strong, its weather too extreme, its animals too deadly. To the soft-bodied aliens of the Concordate, humans were scary. They were too strong, too aggressive, too unpredictable. Jae-ho pressed the accept button. The screen flickered to life, showing the multi-eyed face of Ambassador Vril. The alien's yellow skin looked pale, almost gray. Its 4 eyes blinked rapidly in what Jae-ho had learned meant extreme stress. Captain Kim, the alien's translation device, buzzed. "We need humanity's help. It is urgent." Jae-ho leaned forward. "What's happening, Ambassador?" The alien's breathing tubes fluttered. "The Ravagers have broken through our defense line in the Andromeda sector. 3 peaceful species face complete destruction. Our ships..." The alien paused, its voice crackling. "Our ships cannot stand against their weapons." Jae-ho knew about the Ravagers. The Concordate had mentioned them in briefings, a violent species that attacked and consumed other life forms. Until now, the Concordate had handled the threat alone. "Why come to us?" Jae-ho asked, though he already knew the answer. Ambassador Vril's speech became faster. "Your people evolved on a high-gravity, high-oxygen planet with extreme temperature changes and dangerous predators. These conditions made humans strong, fast, and..." The alien hesitated, comfortable with violence. Jae-ho didn't show any emotion. Humans had heard this many times. For years, the Concordate had feared humanity would spread through space, conquering everything in their path. They had tried to contain Earth, limiting human expansion. Now they needed those same qualities they had feared. "What are you asking for, Ambassador?" Jae-ho asked. "The Deathworlder fleet," Vril said, using the name the aliens had given to humanity's military ships. "All of it." Before Jae-ho could respond, Lieutenant Sung-min Lee knocked and entered the office. The young officer looked serious. "Sir, Admiral Hae-nul Park is calling. She says it's urgent." Jae-ho nodded. "Ambassador Vril, I need to speak with my superior. I will contact you again soon." The alien nodded, its eyes still blinking rapidly. "Please hurry, Captain. Many lives depend on your response." The screen went dark. Jae-ho turned to Sung-min. "Put the Admiral through." The screen lit up again, showing the stern face of Admiral Hae-nul Park. At 60 years old, she had been among the first humans to command a spaceship. Her dark hair now showed streaks of gray, but her eyes remained sharp. "Captain Kim, I assume you've heard from the Concordate?" she asked without greeting. "Yes, Admiral. Ambassador Vril just contacted me. The Ravagers have broken through their defenses." Admiral Park nodded. "The situation is worse than they're saying. We've intercepted communications from the affected sectors. The Ravagers aren't just attacking military targets, they're destroying entire planets." Jae-ho felt cold. "And the Concordate wants our help. After years of keeping us at arm's length. They're desperate." The Admiral's face showed no emotion. "The President has called an emergency meeting with all military leaders. We need your input on deployment strategies. How quickly can you reach Earth?" Jae-ho checked the station's schedule. "The fast transport leaves in 30 minutes. I can be at Lunar Command in 12 hours. "Good. We'll expect you." Admiral Park paused. "Jai-Ho, this changes everything. If we help them, humanity's place in the galaxy will never be the same." "And if we don't?" Jai-Ho asked. "Then millions of innocent beings die." The Admiral's voice hardened. "Be ready to present your fleet capabilities when you arrive." Park out. The screen went dark again. Jai-Ho sat in silence for a moment, then stood up. There was no time to waste. He called Sung Min back into the office. "Lieutenant, prepare my transport to Earth. And contact all fleet commanders. I want status reports on all ships within the hour." "Yes, sir." Sung Min hesitated. "Sir, is it true? Are we going to war?" Jai-Ho looked at the young officer. "We're going to prevent one, if we can." 12 hours later, Jai-Ho walked through the gleaming halls of Lunar Command. Built into the surface of Earth's moon, the massive complex served as headquarters for humanity's combined space forces. Security officers checked his identification at 3 different checkpoints before he reached the central command room. Inside, military leaders from all Earth nations sat around a large round table. Screens on the walls showed maps of distant star systems. Admiral Park nodded to him as he took his seat. At the head of the table sat President Tai-Young Ba, the elected leader of Earth's United Nations. His normally relaxed face looked grim. "Now that Captain Kim has arrived, we can begin," the president said. "Admiral Park, please update us on the situation." Admiral Park stood and pointed to one of the screens. "The Ravagers have attacked here, here, and here. 3 peaceful species are under direct threat: the Elorans, the Zith, and the Palaxians. All 3 are long-standing members of the Galactic Concordat." She pressed a button, and the screen showed images of destroyed ships and burning planets. "The Concordat's ships are no match for the Ravagers. Their weapons are designed to disable, not destroy. They've never faced an enemy this aggressive. And now they want our help," said General Dom Wook Lee of the North American Alliance. "After years of treating us like dangerous animals." "They were right to be cautious," Jai-Ho said, drawing everyone's attention. "Humans are dangerous. We evolved to hunt, to fight, to survive. Our history is full of wars. Even now, we design our ships with weapons the Concordat finds shocking. So we should help them because they were right about us?" asked another officer. Jai-Ho shook his head. "We should help them because we can, because innocent beings are dying, and yes, because it will change how the galaxy sees humanity." President Ba nodded slowly. "The question is not whether we help, but how." Admiral Park. The Admiral pressed another button. The screen now showed Earth's combined space fleet, 57 warships spread throughout the solar system. "We can have the entire fleet ready in 72 hours. The Dauntless and her battle group can deploy immediately." "What about the experimental weapons?" asked General Lee. "Ready for combat testing," said Admiral Park. "The kinetic accelerators, the gravity disruptors, all of it. The Concordat has always been afraid of our weapons technology. Now they'll see what it can do when used to protect." President Ba stood up. The room fell silent. "I've already informed the Concordat that Earth will respond to their request. Captain Kim, you'll lead the 3rd Fleet. Admiral Park will command overall operations from the Indomitable." He looked around the room. "This is not just about saving alien lives. This is humanity's chance to show the galaxy who we really are. Yes, we evolved on a dangerous world. Yes, we know how to fight. But we also know how to protect." Jai-Ho felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. In a few days, he would lead 10,000 men and women into battle against an enemy no one had ever defeated. "Dismissed," said the president. "Good luck to you all." As Jai-Ho left the room, Admiral Park caught up with him. "Your family is still in Seoul, right?" Jai-Ho nodded. "My wife and daughter, yes." "Call them," she said simply. "Tell them you love them." Jai-Ho understood. They were heading into unknown danger. Not everyone would return. Back in his temporary quarters, Jeho stared at the picture of his family, his wife Minji, and their 15-year-old daughter Hannah. He had missed much of Hannah's childhood due to his duties in space. His communication screen activated. It was Ambassador Vril again. "Captain Kim," the alien said, its voice still shaking. "Has your government decided?" "Yes, Ambassador. The Deathworlder fleet is coming." For the first time, Jeho saw relief in the alien's strange eyes. "Thank you. The Concordat will not forget this." "Make sure you don't," Jeho said, "because after this, everything changes." As the screen went dark, Jeho looked back at the family photo. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what Deathworlders could really do. The huge hangar bay of Luna Command buzzed with activity. Hundreds of workers moved quickly, loading supplies and checking systems. In the middle of this organized chaos stood Commander Ju-1 Park, watching as the final preparations were made to humanity's most advanced warship, the HDF Dauntless. Ju-1 was tall for a Korean, with a serious face that rarely smiled. At 42, he had spent more than half his life in space. The Dauntless was his third command, but by far his most important. "Commander, you need to see this," called Chief Engineer Mai Yoon. She stood by an open panel near the ship's main engine. Her uniform had the red lightning bolt patch of the Human Defense Force. Ju-1 walked over, stepping around toolboxes and power cables. "What's the problem, Chief?" Mireille pointed inside the panel. "No problem. The opposite. The new gravity shields are working better than we hoped. Tests show they can handle 40% more stress than designed." Ju-1 nodded. "That's good news. And the weapons?" "The kinetic accelerators are loaded and ready," Mireille said. She smiled slightly. "The Concordat aliens still don't understand why we use physical bullets and missiles. Their ships use energy weapons that disable rather than destroy. They're about to learn why," Ju-1 said quietly. "Sometimes you need to break things to fix them." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Captain Jeho Kim. He had just returned from the command meeting on Earth. His face looked tired but determined. "Commander Park, Chief Yoon," he greeted them. "Is the Dauntless ready?" "Yes, sir," Ju-1 replied. "All systems checked. Crew at full strength. We can launch in 2 hours." Jeho nodded. "Good. The situation has gotten worse. The Ravagers have attacked 3 more planets in the Proxima Centauri system. Millions of civilians are trying to escape." Mireille's face paled. "How many ships do we have ready?" "The Dauntless Battle Group, 5 ships total," Jeho replied. "The rest of the fleet needs another 48 hours. But we can't wait. Refugee ships carrying civilians from the Elloran Republic are under attack. We need to move now." Ju-1 straightened his back. "We're ready, sir." "Commander, this mission is yours," Jeho said. "I'll coordinate from Luna Command until Admiral Park arrives with the main fleet. You'll take the Dauntless group and secure a path for the refugee ships." Ju-1 understood the risk. 5 human ships against an unknown number of enemy vessels. But there was no choice. People were dying. "We won't let you down, sir," he said. "I know you won't." Jeho handed him a datapad. "These are your official orders. Good hunting, Commander." As Jeho left, Ju-1 turned to Mireille. "Finish the preparations. We launch in 90 minutes." On the bridge of the Dauntless, Communications Officer Taho Choi received the final launch authorization. The young officer's fingers moved quickly over his control panel. "Commander, we have clearance for immediate departure," Taho reported. "All ships in the battle group report ready status." Ju-1 sat in the captain's chair, the center of the bridge. Around him, 20 crew members managed the ship's systems. The bridge was designed for efficiency, not comfort. Every screen, every control had a purpose. "Put me through to all ships," Ju-1 ordered. Taho pressed a button. "Channel open, sir." Ju-1 took a deep breath. "This is Commander Park to all vessels. Our mission is clear. The Ravagers are attacking refugee ships in the Proxima Centauri system. Innocent civilians are dying. We will stop this." He paused, looking at the faces of his bridge crew. They were young, most under 30. Many had never seen real combat. "I won't lie to you. We don't know much about the enemy. We don't know their exact numbers or all their weapons. What we do know is this: they're attacking people who can't defend themselves. That ends today." Ju-1 nodded to his helm officer. "Take us out, Sub-Lieutenant Ja. All ships, form up and prepare for jump to light speed." The massive hangar doors opened slowly. Through the bridge windows, Ju-1 watched as the blackness of space appeared. The Dauntless moved forward, its engines glowing blue. Behind it followed 4 more ships: the Defender, the Courage, the Shield, and the Sword. As they cleared Luna Command, Ju-1 gave the order: "Jump to light speed on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." The stars stretched into lines as the 5 ships accelerated to faster than light speed, heading for Proxima Centauri. In the engine room of the Dauntless, Mayray worked with her team to keep the new drives stable. The ship vibrated around them as it pushed through the barriers of normal space. "Power levels?" Mayray asked her assistant, Jun-Ho. "Holding at 95%, Chief," the young engineer replied. "All readings normal." Mayray moved to another station. "Weapons status." Engineer Du-Yun looked up from his panel. "Kinetic accelerators charged and ready. All missile bays loaded. Point defense systems active." Mayray nodded, satisfied. The Dauntless carried weapons that would shock most Concordat species, while alien ships used energy beams designed to disable enemy vessels without destroying them. Human ships took a different approach. The main weapons of the Dauntless were kinetic accelerators, giant railguns that fired metal slugs at incredible speeds, against energy shields designed to stop energy weapons. Physical projectiles proved devastatingly effective. The Concordat had always been uncomfortable with humanity's more direct approach to warfare. Mayray's communicator beeped. It was Ju-1 from the bridge. "Chief, we're approaching Proxima Centauri. Battle stations in 5 minutes." "Understood, Commander," Mayray replied. "Engines at full combat readiness." She turned to her team. "You heard him. Check all systems one last time. We're about to find out if all our hard work pays off." On the bridge, the crew prepared for exit from lightspeed. Tactical Officer Da-Hyun Kang studied his sensors carefully. "Commander, I'm detecting multiple energy signatures ahead, matching known Ravager patterns." Ju-1 leaned forward. "How many?" "At least 9 vessels, sir. They're surrounding 3 larger ships, probably the refugee transports." Ju-1's mind worked quickly. 9 against 5 weren't terrible odds, especially with the element of surprise. The Ravagers wouldn't expect human ships. "Lieutenant Kang, target analysis. Find their weak points." Da-Hyun studied the data flowing across his screen. Their ships appear to have concentrated shields at the front, but weaker protection at the rear. Possible engine vulnerability. "Understood." Ju-1 turned to communications. "Officer Choi, any response to our signals from the refugee ships?" Tae-Ho adjusted his headset. "Very weak, sir. They're using old Concordat frequencies. Translation is difficult, but they're definitely calling for help." "Time to exit lightspeed in 30 seconds, announced Helm Officer Ja. Ju-1 pressed a button on his chair. "All hands, battle stations, weapon systems active. Prepare for combat exit from lightspeed." Across the ship, crew members moved quickly to their positions. Defense shields powered up. Weapon systems came online. "Exit in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The star lines shortened back into points as the 5 human ships dropped into normal space at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. Ahead, they could see the flashes of weapons fire as the Ravager ships attacked the refugee vessels. "Tactical assessment," Ju-1 ordered. Da-Hyun responded immediately. 3 refugee ships with failing shields, 9 Ravager attack vessels. Estimated survival time for refugees, 12 minutes without intervention. They haven't seen us yet, added Sensor Officer Su Jin Ryu. Our approach vector kept the star between us until now. Ju 1 made his decision. Battle formation Delta, sword and shield, move to protect the refugee vessels. Courage and Defender, target the nearest Ravager ships. Dauntless will take the lead vessel. The orders were transmitted, and the 5 human ships moved into position. The element of surprise would not last long. Weapons range in 30 seconds, Dahyun reported. Ju 1 opened a channel to the entire battle group. This is Commander Park. Remember your training. Remember why we're here. These people cannot defend themselves. We can. That's what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. He closed the channel and looked ahead at the enemy ships. They were strange-looking vessels with organic shapes, covered in spike-like structures. Now they were turning, finally noticing the approaching human fleet. They're powering up weapons, Dahyun warned. Hold course, Ju 1 ordered. All ships, prepare to fire on my command. The lead Ravager ship fired first, a beam of green energy that shot toward the Dauntless. It hit the ship's new gravity shields and scattered, doing no damage. Ju 1 allowed himself a small smile. Now it's our turn. All ships, open fire. The Dauntless shuddered as its main kinetic accelerator fired. A massive metal slug shot forward at near-light speed. It hit the lead Ravager ship and tore straight through its shields, ripping a hole in its side. Around them, the other human ships fired as well. The blackness of space lit up with explosions. The battle for Proxima Centauri had begun. Humanity's Deathworlder fleet had arrived, and the Ravagers were about to learn why the galaxy had feared humans for so long. The bridge of the Dauntless shook as another Ravager blast hit their shields. Commander Ju 1 Park held tight to his chair, watching the battle unfold on the main screen. Shield status, he called out. Holding at 82%, sir, replied Defense Officer Yuni. The new gravity shields are working better than expected. The 5 human ships had formed a protective circle around the 3 refugee vessels. The Ravagers seemed shocked by the human attack. 2 enemy ships were already destroyed, their pieces floating in space. Sir, I'm getting readings from the refugee ships, reported Taiho from his communication station. Their life support is failing. They have over 12,000 civilians on board. Ju 1's face hardened. How long can they last? Maybe 1 hour, sir, Taiho answered. Their engines are damaged. They can't run. Ju 1 made a quick decision. Tell the shield to dock with the largest refugee ship. Transfer engineers to help fix their systems. The rest of us will keep the Ravagers busy. On the tactical screen, the remaining 7 Ravager ships regrouped. They moved into a new formation, preparing for another attack. They're learning, observed Tactical Officer Dahyun. They're adjusting their shields to better resist our kinetic weapons. Then we adjust too, Ju 1 said. Load the special rounds. The special rounds were a new type of ammunition for the kinetic accelerators. Normal rounds were solid metal, but the special ones contained a small EMP device that activated on impact. When they hit shields, they released an electromagnetic pulse that disrupted the shield generators. Special rounds loaded, reported Weapons Officer Minho after a moment. Target their lead ship, ordered Ju 1. Fire when ready. The Dauntless shuddered again as its main weapon fired. The special round hit the lead Ravager ship's shields. There was a flash of blue light as the EMP discharged. The enemy ship's shields flickered and died. Direct hit, shouted Dahyun. Their shields are down. All ships, concentrate fire on the lead vessel, Ju 1 commanded. The human fleet responded immediately. Multiple kinetic rounds and missiles streaked toward the unprotected Ravager ship. It tried to move away, but was too slow. The weapons hit, tearing the alien vessel apart. Sir, called Sensor Officer Su Jin, I'm detecting a new energy signature. It's big. Ju-1 turned to her station. Show me. The main screen changed to show a different part of space. A massive ship had just arrived. It was at least 4 times the size of the Dauntless, with the same organic-looking design as the smaller Ravager vessels. A command ship, Ju-1 said quietly. As they watched, the huge vessel released dozens of smaller craft. They weren't attack ships, but rather boarding pods. They're heading for the refugee ships, Da-hyun reported. Ju-1 understood the Ravager strategy now. They didn't just want to destroy the refugee ships. They wanted to capture them and take the people inside. Intercept those pods, he ordered. Use point defense systems. Don't let any reach the refugees. The human ships turned their secondary weapons toward the incoming pods. Rapid-fire lasers and small missiles shot out, destroying many of the pods. But there were too many. We can't get them all, Da-hyun said. At least 12 pods will reach the refugee ships. Ju-1 hit his communication button. All ships, prepare boarding teams. We need to protect those civilians. He turned to his second-in-command, Hae-jin. You have the bridge. I'm leading our boarding team. Hae-jin looked surprised. Sir, is that wise? You're the fleet commander. Those people need help, Ju-1 said simply. And Ravagers need to learn what happens when they face humans up close. 20 minutes later, Ju-1 led a team of 15 soldiers onto one of the refugee ships. They wore battle armor, black suits with built-in shields and weapons. Each carried a pulse rifle and a sidearm. The inside of the refugee ship was chaos. Alarms blared. Emergency lights flashed red. The ship's original crew, thin, blue-skinned Elorans, ran in panic from the Ravagers. The Ravagers themselves were a shock to see in person. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, with gray skin covered in bony plates. Their faces had no eyes, just sensing organs that glowed yellow. 4 arms ended in sharp claws. Team 1, secure the bridge. Ju-1 ordered through his helmet communicator. Team 2, with me to the main living area. That's where most civilians will be. The human soldiers moved with practiced precision. On their home planet, with its high gravity and dangerous animals, humans had evolved to be excellent warriors. Now those skills were being used to save others. Ju-1's team moved down a long corridor. Ahead, they heard screams. Picking up speed, they rounded a corner to find 5 Ravagers dragging Eloran civilians toward their boarding pod. Stop, Ju-1 shouted. Release them now. The Ravagers turned. One made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. They clearly didn't see the humans as a threat. That was their mistake. Ju-1 raised his weapon. Last warning. The Ravagers responded by charging forward. They were fast, but humans were faster. Ju-1 and his team fired their pulse rifles. The energy blasts hit 3 Ravagers, sending them crashing to the floor. The remaining 2 reached the human line. One swung its clawed hand at Ju-1's head. He ducked under the attack and fired his sidearm directly into the creature's chest. It fell back, wounded but still moving. The last Ravager grabbed Soldier Yunji and threw her against a wall. Before it could attack again, soldiers Jin-ho and Hyun-woo tackled it to the ground. The 3 fought in a tangle of limbs until Jin-ho managed to place his weapon against the Ravager's head and fire. Everyone okay? Ju-1 asked, helping Yunji to her feet. Yes, sir, she said, though her arm looked injured. Those things are strong. But not as strong as humans, Jin-ho added, breathing hard. And definitely not as angry. The Eloran civilians watched with wide eyes. They had never seen creatures fight Ravagers hand to hand and win. We need to move these people to a safe area, Ju-1 said. Jin-ho, Hyun-woo, take point. Yunji, you and I will help the injured. As they guided the civilians away, Ju-1's communicator beeped. It was Hae-jin from the Dauntless. Commander, we have a problem. The Ravager command ship is powering up its main weapon. It's like nothing we've seen before. Energy readings are off the charts. Ju-1 felt cold fear. His ships were tough, but they couldn't take a hit from a super weapon. "Target?" he asked. "It's aiming at the largest refugee ship, sir. The one with over 6,000 civilians." Ju-1 thought quickly. "Move the Dauntless between the command ship and the refugee vessel." "Sir, that would put us directly in the line of fire. Our shields might not." "That's an order, Lieutenant," Ju-1 interrupted. "And prepare to fire all weapons at their weapon port when they open it." "Yes, sir," Hadjin replied, though he sounded worried. Ju-1 turned to his team. "Get these people to safety. I need to get back to my ship." From the bridge of the Ravager command ship, War Leader Kraz watched the human vessels with growing rage. These strange creatures had destroyed 5 of his ships already. No species had ever caused such damage to a Ravager fleet. "The main cannon is ready, War Leader," reported his weapons officer. "Target the large refugee ship," Kraz ordered. "Destroy it. Show these humans the price of interference." "One of the human ships is moving to block our shot," said the sensor officer. Kraz made a sound of amusement. "So they will die first. Begin firing sequence." The front of the massive Ravager ship opened like a flower, revealing a glowing green energy core. Power built up as the weapon prepared to fire. "Energy at maximum," reported the weapons officer. "Firing in 5. On the Dauntless, Ju-1 rushed onto the bridge just as the ship moved into position between the Ravager command ship and the refugee vessel. "Status," he demanded. "Their weapon is powering up," Dahyun reported. "Energy levels higher than anything we've recorded. Our shields may not hold against it." Ju-1 nodded. "They won't have to. Target their weapon port with everything we have. All kinetic accelerators, all missiles. Fire the moment their port fully opens." The crew worked quickly, targeting systems locking onto the opening at the front of the Ravager ship. "They're about to fire," called Sujin. "So are we," Ju-1 said calmly. "All weapons, fire." The Dauntless unleashed its full arsenal. 5 kinetic rounds, 20 missiles, and all energy weapons fired at once. The barrage struck the open weapon port of the Ravager command ship just as it was about to fire. The result was spectacular. The Ravager weapon overloaded, energy surging back into the ship. Explosions tore through its hull as the command ship broke apart. On the bridge of the Dauntless, the crew watched in stunned silence. Then cheers erupted. "All Ravager ships are retreating," reported Dahyun, his voice full of disbelief. "We did it. We actually did it." Ju-1 allowed himself a small smile. "Send word to Captain Kim. Tell him the refugee ships are secure and request medical teams for the civilians." As the remaining Ravager ships fled, the full human fleet began arriving. Over 50 warships jumping into the system in groups of 5. Humanity had shown the galaxy what Deathworlders could do. And this was just the beginning. Hashtag. 3 days after the battle at Proxima Centauri, Captain Jiho Kim stood on the bridge of the Concordat diplomatic vessel Harmony. Beside him was Ambassador Vril. Together, they watched through the large viewing window as the human fleet escorted the refugee ships to safety. The fleet was impressive. Over 50 human warships moved in perfect formation. Their hulls showed battle damage, proof of their recent fight. At the lead was the Dauntless, Commander Ju-1 Park's ship. It had taken the most damage, but still flew proudly. 11 Ravager ships destroyed, 3 captured for study. Jiho reported to the ambassador. No civilian deaths. 2 human ships damaged, but repairable. Ambassador Vril's 4 eyes blinked slowly. His translator device buzzed as he spoke. "When we first met humans, Captain, many in the Concordat wanted to keep your people locked away forever. Your planet, Earth, was so different from our worlds. Too much gravity, too much oxygen, too many dangerous animals." Jiho nodded but said nothing. He had heard this many times. "We called Earth a death world," Vril continued. We thought any creatures that evolved there must be violent and dangerous. We can be, Jaiho admitted. Humans have fought many wars against each other. Yet here you are, fighting to protect others instead. Vril's translator couldn't fully capture the emotion in his voice. My people never understood that the same strength that makes humans dangerous could also make them the strongest protectors. Outside the window, a medical ship docked with one of the refugee vessels. Human doctors had been working nonstop to help injured aliens. The Ravagers will return, Jaiho said simply. And when they do, asked Vril. Jaiho turned to face the alien diplomat. Then they will find humanity standing between them and the innocent. That is the promise of the Deathworlder fleet. In the medical bay of the Dauntless, Dr. Soo-Yum Kim checked the bandage on an Ellerin child's arm. The small blue-skinned alien watched her with large, frightened eyes. All done, Dr. Kim said with a gentle smile. You were very brave. The child's parent, standing nearby, spoke through a translator. Thank you, human doctor. We did not expect your kindness. Dr. Kim handed the child a small sweep from Earth. We're happy to help. Rest now. Your arm will heal quickly. As the Ellerin family moved to a recovery area, Commander Ju-Won Park entered the medical bay. His right arm was in a sling from an injury during the boarding action. How are our guests doing, doctor? He asked. Better than expected, Dr. Kim replied. Their bodies heal differently than ours, but they respond well to our treatments. Ju-Won looked around the large room. It was full of injured aliens from the refugee ships. Human medical staff moved between beds, helping everyone they could. The Concordat ships will arrive tomorrow to take them to a safe colony, Ju-Won said. Admiral Park wants us back at Earth for repairs and debriefing. Commander, Dr. Kim said quietly, these people were terrified when we first brought them aboard. Not just of the Ravagers, but of us too. They'd been told humans were dangerous monsters from a death planet. Ju-Won nodded. And now? Now they see us differently. She gestured to the room full of aliens being helped by humans. This is how we change minds. Not with words, but with actions. In the ship's mess hall, Chief Engineer Mireille shared a meal with several Ellerin refugees. She had modified one of the food synthesizers to create meals safe for their biology. So your ships normally don't have weapons? She asked an Ellerin engineer named Talos. The alien shook his head. The Concordat believes violence should always be the last option. Our ships have defensive shields and small weapons for asteroid clearing, but nothing like your kinetic accelerators. That works fine until you meet someone like the Ravagers, Mireille said. Sometimes you need to show strength to keep peace. Commander Ju-Won entered the mess hall, stopping at Mireille's table. Chief, I have news. Admiral Park just contacted us from the Indomitable. The Concordat Council has requested a permanent human presence in 5 vulnerable sectors. And High Command's response? Mireille asked, surprised. Humanity accepts the responsibility, Ju-Won said. The Deathworlder fleet will be expanding. We'll need more engineers like you. As Ju-Won left, Talos looked at Mireille with his large eyes. Your people agreed to protect us, even after the Concordat kept humans at a distance for so long. Mireille smiled. That's what humans do. We protect those who need protection. On Earth, in the Central Command Center buried deep under Seoul, President Tae-Young-ba met with the military leadership. The large room was filled with screens showing reports from the human fleet. The Dauntless Battle Group performed beyond expectations, Admiral Haenul Park reported. Commander Park's tactics against the Ravager command ship will be studied in our academies for years to come. President Ba nodded. And our losses. 12 dead, 43 wounded, General Dong-Wook Lee replied. Far fewer than we expected. The new shield technology worked extremely well. And the Concordat's request for permanent protection, asked the president. Admiral Park pulled up a star map on the main screen. They've asked for human ships to guard these 5 sectors. All are near Ravager space. All contain civilian populations that cannot defend themselves. The president studied the map carefully. This would stretch our fleet thin. We'd need to build more ships, train more crews. Yes, sir, agreed Admiral Park. But it would also give humanity a place in the galaxy we've never had before. Not as frightening outsiders, but as respected protectors. The room fell silent as everyone considered this. For decades, humans had been kept isolated by the Concordat sphere. Now, that same fear was opening doors. The Concordat Council also sent this, Admiral Park added, playing a video message. On the screen appeared a group of different alien species, the leadership of the Galactic Concordat. The central figure, a tall being with golden skin, spoke in a formal tone. People of Earth, we thank you for your brave response to our plea for help. For too long, we have kept your species at arm's length, fearing the strength that evolved on your challenging world. We now see that this strength, when directed toward protection rather than conquest, is exactly what our galaxy needs in these dangerous times. We formally invite humanity to join the Concordat as full members, with all rights and responsibilities. President Baz's expression remained calm, but his eyes showed his satisfaction. Prepare a response accepting their invitation, and begin expansion of the fleet immediately. If we're going to be galactic protectors, we need the ships to do it properly. 2 weeks later, the Dauntless returned to Earth, its battle damage repaired. On the bridge, Commander Ju-Won Park received new orders from Captain Ji-Ho Kim. The Dauntless will lead a new battle group to the Orient sector, Ji-Ho explained. The Ravagers have been spotted near the Palaxian colonies there. Admiral Park believes they're planning a major offensive. Ju-Won nodded. When do we leave? 48 hours. Just enough time to take on supplies and new crew members. Ji-Ho handed him a datapad. These are your official orders from High Command. The Dauntless Battle Group is now designated as Rapid Response Force 1. Ju-Won reviewed the orders. 5 ships against a possible Ravager fleet. Sounds familiar. Ji-Ho smiled slightly. This time you know what you're facing. And the Concordat is providing support ships, medical vessels, supply carriers. They're learning to work with us. As Ji-Ho prepared to leave, Ju-Won asked, "Do you think this will last, sir? This new relationship with the Concordat?" Ji-Ho considered the question. "The galaxy has changed, Commander. The Concordat feared us because we evolved on a world that would kill most of their species. They called us Deathworlders and kept us isolated. Now they see that same strength can protect them." He looked out the bridge window at Earth below. Humanity has found its place in the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians. In deep space, beyond the edges of Concordat territory, the remaining Ravager ships regrouped. War leader Kraz had been killed when his command ship was destroyed. Now, a new leader stood before the gathered war captains. "The humans are strong," Supreme War Leader Vask admitted. "Stronger than any species we have faced. But they are few, and the galaxy is vast. We will find ways to defeat them." One captain spoke up. "They fight like nothing we've ever seen. They put themselves at risk to protect others. Why would they do this?" Vask had no answer. The concept was alien to Ravager thinking. They had always been predators, taking what they wanted. "Prepare the fleet," Vask ordered. "We will avoid human ships for now. Find weaker targets." But as the Ravager fleet moved out, they discovered something new. Human ships were appearing throughout the galaxy, always in the places the Ravagers planned to attack. Somehow, the Deathworlders were one step ahead. The hunters had become the hunted, and the Ravagers began to feel something they had never experienced before: fear. On the Dauntless, as it prepared to jump to lightspeed toward its next mission, Commander Ju-Won looked at his crew. They were ready, determined, proud of what they had accomplished. "All systems ready," Commander reported Helm Officer Jay. "Course set for the Orient sector." Ju-Won nodded. "Take us out, Lieutenant. We have people to protect." As the stars stretched into lines, the human warship accelerated toward danger once again. The Deathworlders had found their purpose among the stars. Not to conquer, but to defend. Not to destroy, but to save. The Deathworlder fleet had made its promise to the galaxy, and humanity would keep it.